Hello, everybody. So yesterday, September 4th, Deadline reported that the Tomb Raider movie, or the sequel to Tomb Raider, has a director, and his name is Ben Wheatley. And if you're asking who, then yeah, you might not know about him. And Wheatley is purely like a British director. Most of his work is done over in England and that area, right? He's a director that did some like two Doctor Who TV shows, I believe. Directed two Doctor Who TV shows, and some movies over there. So he's not a well-known director, as you can expect it by this hire, this new hire. That means they're not going to put a lot of budget into Tomb Raider 2. So Alicia Vikander is returning to star in the title role. The script is written by Amy Jump, I believe, who worked with Ben Wheatley on a couple of his movies, who wrote a couple of his movies as well. So there is that going on. There's that synergy. So as you can see, Amy Jump, again, is a little known writer, right? Hasn't written anything big yet. So as you can see, with these two hires, the script writer, the director, the budget for this movie is probably not gonna be high unless they get outside investment from like a Chinese company, right? Why? Because if you look at this chart right here, and why there is a sequel to this movie despite making only 58 million in the US, or like North America, you can see that the second big chunk of the box office worldwide comes from China, like 78 million or so from China. Right, so 58 million domestically and 274 million worldwide for the Tomb Raider reboot, with Vikander in the lead role. Reviews for the first movie is not good, right? 52% on the tomato meter. We're seeing like B cinema score, like average movie. Their audience score on the tomato meter, on Rotten Tomatoes, is about 55%. Even on IMDb is like 6.3, their score. So that first movie, reviews, or like it's not high, but they made money worldwide, or specifically in China. Budget's probably gonna be around the same. You don't with the low domestic take, right? As a comparison, right, with the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies, right? It has roughly the same budget, right? The first movie is 115 million, but it opened to like 47 million, 131 million domestic, and 271 million worldwide. So it's kind of similar figures there. Worldwide take for between the Tomb Raider reboot and the one with Angelina Jolie. And reviews wise, it's even worse, like 20% for the Angelina Jolie first Tomb Raider. And for the sequel, they lowered the budget. The first movie for Angelina Jolie is 150 million. The second movie is 95 million. And reviews about the same, 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Open to almost half that, like 21.8 million. Went on to make 65.7 million domestic and 156 million worldwide. So there you go. The first movie is a novelty, right? Angelina Jolie, woo, she has the figure to play the title role. But I guess the movie, I didn't like the movies, by the way. It's like pretty much boring for what is supposed to be like a female Indiana Jones movie, right? So there's that. But this brand, the Tomb Raider brand, is huge, right? The games are relatively popular. So it's a brand that they could potentially create into like a franchise. But except that with Angelina Jolie, two movies all they got, and you can see that diminishing return there with subsequent movies. And they rebooted with Alicia Vikander. Why? I guess because she comes cheap again, right? 94.5 million budget for the Vikander Tomb Raider reboot. They put in like Daniel Wu to lure in the Chinese crowd, Chinese audience, and I guess it sort of succeeded. Again, the highest box office is in China. North America come in second. As you can expect, this movie is overseas play based on the box office take of the first movie, like specifically China. So they're gonna cater this movie to them. So you can expect to see scenes that take place in China and with Chinese actors as well. Again, you're not going to see an uptick in the domestic box office. If the first movie only managed to pull in 58 million, you can expect the second movie is not going to generate a lot of interest unless they blew everything out of the water with the second movie. The first movie, if you read the reviews, they say that Vikander makes a pretty good Lara Croft in the lead role, right? But the story is pretty much boring. That's the knock on pretty much all the Tomb Raider movies. So unless they knock it out of the park, you're not going to see an uptick in the domestic box office, but you might see it overseas because hey, it's the brand is huge overseas. And with the change up in the writer and director, who knows, right? They could resuscitate this brand for the overseas market. But like I say, with the hire of Wheatley and Amy Jump, I don't expect the budget for this movie to be that high. I mean, the first movie is 94 million. I don't expect but the budget's gonna be higher than that. In fact, it might be even lower unless they have investment from like some Chinese production firm or something like that, which is not out of the question. And they set a release date for the sequel for March 19, 2021. So it's coming out next year, pretty soon. Will it do better than the first movie? I don't have high hopes for the sequel, but the movie made money overseas, and that's why a sequel is happening. And if it doesn't succeed, if the sequel box office dip here and overseas as well, this is going to be another two-parter for Vikander in her role as Lara Croft, and until they rebooted the movie with a new actress in the lead. Of course, I mean, it could potentially make a lot of money, right? Since like the Chinese market would watch anything. But then again, this is a sequel. They've seen the first movie and they think that just one is enough. All right, that's all I have for now. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.